Alright, hey everybody, I already recorded this video once, had my mic muted, so I gotta do it again, which just makes it even better. Today, you were not going to get a second video, but they dropped the schedule for the second season of the Overwatch League, and I was taking a look at it, and I realized that it's awful. It's really bad. Especially the New York Excelsior schedule, and that's not just coming from the point of view of a New York Excelsior fan, that's coming from the point of view of just a logical person looking at a schedule. A schedule should not be as bad as the one I'm going to show you with the New York Excelsior. I'm going to go over some other ones too. I'll go through one that I haven't even looked at before, and I'll go through a random one. But we're going to start with the New York Excelsior so I can show you just how bad it is. So we're going to start here in Stage 1, Week 1. New York plays Washington Justice right here. The second game of Stage 1 for them. It's on Saturday, February 16th at 4:30 p.m. We see them playing the Washington Justice. All right. Understand that. They play the Washington Justice, Stage 1, Week 1. Then again, it's Boston earlier in the week. They play Houston following week, as well as LA Valiant. This game will not mean anything towards how good or bad the schedules are, because they only play the teams outside of their division once. So they play 10 out of division games, and they're just kind of thrown in there in the schedule wherever. They're not really problematic for the most part. They're there. But here they play Seoul, that one doesn't matter. They play Toronto Defiant there, Stage 1, Week 3. Stage 1, Week 4, we have a game against San Francisco, doesn't matter. That's the only game they play that week. And then the end of Stage 1, they don't play a game. So they've played 3 divisional games at this point in time, if I did my math correctly. They played Boston, they played Washington, they played Houston, they played 4, because they played Toronto as well. So they played 4 divisional games in 4 different teams, or against 4 different teams. That's not that bad. I'm perfectly fine with that. That's the way it likely should be. We get to Stage 2. We see them play Philadelphia. So that's 5 divisional games against 5 different opponents. That's not bad way to kick off that. They play Shanghai. That game doesn't really mean anything. Let's go up to here. Week 2. Oh! They play Washington Justice again, who they already played in Stage 1. So they've played now 6 divisional games. And this is the team they've already played once. I don't know why they're playing the Washington Justice twice in the first 2 stages. That's not great. New York hasn't, at this point, played a game against Paris. They haven't played a game against London. They haven't played a game against Florida. They haven't played... I'm trying to think of the teams, because obviously there's New York. This is the 5th team they've played, so that makes 6 teams, and there's 10 teams. They haven't played London, they've played Florida, they've played Paris. Who have they not played otherwise? Atlanta. They haven't played Atlanta yet. So those are the teams. So they haven't played 4. There's 4 teams that haven't even played yet. They're already playing the Washington Justice twice, but that's whatever. They play the Florida Mayhem here at the end of that week, so that's a team that they now have played. So they've played all but 3 teams in their division now. Get to Week 3. Philadelphia Fusion, who they just played 2 weeks prior. Now they're playing Philadelphia Fusion again, 2 weeks later. Why? There's teams in the division they haven't even played yet, and they're already playing Philadelphia twice. They play Atlanta the next game, so now that makes by the end of that week, there's 2 teams in the division they haven't played yet: London and Paris. But why are they playing Philadelphia again when they just played them 2 weeks prior? As a fan, I don't want to watch New York play the same team twice in 2 weeks. That just makes no sense. Right? I want to see how these teams match up in a different meta, later in the season, when maybe there's more going on in the season. Right? I don't want to see them play Philadelphia twice within 2 weeks of each other, when the meta's not going to have changed within a stage. Right? The Stage 2 meta is going to be the Stage 2 meta. There's going to be no difference 2 weeks later. So I don't understand why they're playing Philadelphia. If I'm a fan at all, I don't want to see that. If I'm a player, I don't want to play Philadelphia again. We just played them. There's teams we haven't even played yet. Why are we playing Philadelphia again? Maybe that's not the way players think. But if I were a player looking at this schedule, I'd be like, I don't want to play Philadelphia again. Washington, I'd be like, okay, that's unfortunate, but that's whatever. But I'd want to have the ability to play these teams later in the season. Maybe to redeem ourselves if we lost the first time around. Because if we lose this time around, it's like, well, this isn't really our stage, and maybe later in the season will be a lot better. But here's their game against Atlanta, their first game against Atlanta. They still haven't played London, still haven't played Paris. They don't play this week. Stage 2, week 4. Go to Stage 2, week 5. It happens again. In the same stage, they play Philadelphia and Atlanta twice. Over half of their games in one stage are against two teams. Why? Plus, then you throw in the Washington Justice. They play two teams in Stage 2 that they did not play prior to Stage 2. And that's Florida. And it is... Who's the other team that they didn't play? I think it was San Francisco? Shanghai. So Shanghai and Florida are the only two teams that they play in Stage 2 that they don't have a game against more than once in the season. Or more than once in the first two stages. 4 of the games are against the same two teams. Why did that get approved? That's such a horrible stage. Let's move to Stage 3, though. They still haven't played London. They still haven't played Paris going into Stage 3. Their first Stage 3 game is a game against Houston. They played Houston in the beginning of Stage 1. I don't have an issue with that. That's how the spacing should be, realistically. Then they play London. So their first game against London is Stage 3, Week 1. Next, here we have them finally play Paris. Now they've played at least every team in their division once by Stage 3, Week 2. They don't play another game that week. And then Stage 3, Week 3, they play London. Again, 3 times on their schedule, they play the same team twice in the same stage. 3 times in their schedule. Who approved the schedule? I don't know why I pointed that out, because that's not them against London. That's them against London. There it is. Which is even worse, because it's even less time. So the second time they play them is Friday, June 21st. The first time they play them is June 9th. So not even 2 weeks later. They play them June 9th, and then they play one game against the Paris Eternal. Then their next game after the Paris Eternal is the London Spitfire. So two times in 3 games they play the London Spitfire. That's even worse. That's even worse than the original ones. At least there was more games between them. Here, it's 2 times in 3 games they play the London Spitfire. Who designed this schedule? The Paris Eternal, if you're wondering when they play them again, they play them in Stage 4. Here's a game against Dallas. Here they play Toronto again, and they play Florida again. They played Florida in Stage 2, they played Toronto in Stage 1, so that's fine. And then in Stage 4, they play the Gladiators, they play Paris eventually. There's Chengdu. Here's their game against Paris. Their final divisional game is the second to last game of their season at the LA Valiant homestand, which is pretty cool. This thing. I mean, I like that there's these homestands, and I talked about it in the video. I didn't know what cities to get them. They were all North American. They're all U.S. cities, which I actually didn't expect, and none of the ones I expected to get them got one. This one's stupid because they already play in Los Angeles. They're just playing at a different place, so it's whatever. But they play Boston. It's their second to last game of the season, and they end their season against Vancouver. But I just don't understand how this schedule got approved. And their schedule's not the only bad one. The LA Valiant, which is a schedule I found to be one of the best schedules. So they play 8 teams they play 8 divisional games in the first 2 stages, against 8 different teams. The only team they don't play in the first 2 stages is Shanghai. Here we can see them play Shanghai Stage 3, Week 1. They play the Chengdu Hunters. And then they play the Guangzhou Charge. And then they play the Shanghai Dragons again. So twice in 4 games here they play the Shanghai Dragons. For whatever reason. I think they play some other teams pretty poorly. Boston Uprising, they play Atlanta, I think. No, they play Paris twice in Stage 3? Yeah, here they play Paris, Stage 3, Week 3. Stage 3, Week 1. Here we can see Boston against Paris right here. I don't know who made these schedules and why they got approved. Teams, but obviously we have Paris and Boston that have a situation on their schedule. This is where they play the same team twice in the same stage. Philadelphia, New York, and London all have it. Atlanta has it. LA Valiant have it. Shanghai Dragons have it. Vancouver has it. They play Guangzhou twice in Stage 1. I believe it's Guangzhou. Vancouver, Shanghai. Vancouver, San Francisco. Vancouver, Guangzhou. Vancouver, Valiant. Vancouver, Chengdu. Vancouver, Paris. And Vancouver, Guangzhou. So that's like 10 teams already. Half the league is playing games like that. Plus, you're playing teams where you're not even playing them an entire half. You're not even playing a team an entire half of the season. As a result, New York doesn't play Washington in the second half of the season. They don't play Paris in the first half of the season, which I think is just poor scheduling, but it happens. If that was the only thing that was wrong with the schedule, I wouldn't really have a complaint. If the Valiant played Shanghai Stage 3 and Stage 4, I wouldn't think their schedule was that bad, right? As long as that was the only instance of that happening, which it would be realistically because they play 8 games against teams in their conference, or teams in their division in the first 2 stages. But they play Shanghai 2 weeks after they played them the first time. I don't understand why this is such a common trend. I'll pick a team I haven't even looked at their schedule. Chengdu Hunters. I haven't looked at the Chengdu Hunters schedule. We're going to take a look at their schedule, see if there's an issue with it. Here they play Guangzhou. So that's one divisional game, one divisional team. Let's see. Seoul, that's another divisional game against a different team. Florida Mayhem, not a divisional game. Shanghai, that's another divisional game, different team. Toronto, that was not a divisional game, so that one doesn't really matter. Vancouver Titans, that's 4 divisional games, 4 different teams. Atlanta, that one doesn't matter. Let's see. What do we got here? Chengdu against Paris, that one doesn't matter to this argument. Shanghai, there we go. They already played Shanghai once in Stage 1, but could be worse. Could have been a team that they played twice in the same stage. There's the Gladiators. They haven't played them yet. Washington Justice, that game doesn't really matter. Them against London, them against Hangzhou. I don't think they played Hangzhou yet. Them against Valiant, so they've played 2 games against Valiant already, if I remember correctly, if I did my math correctly. So their schedule so far not too bad. There's Guangzhou. Them against Dallas. I don't think they played Dallas yet. Them against Dallas. That's even worse. This is the worst thing I've seen. They play they play Dallas Stage 3 Week 2 on Thursday, June 13th, and then Stage 3 Week 3 on June 22nd. They play Dallas again. The next week. I'm telling you, you can go to any team, you can go to any team's schedule, you can look at it. You're going to find a situation like this, similar to this, right? Where it's 2 weeks later, a week later, whatever. The schedule is so bad. I don't know who approved this schedule. Let's see, Chengdu doesn't even, let's see, they play a game against Vancouver. So they play a game against Dallas, they play a game against Vancouver, and then they play another game against Dallas the next week. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I could go for any team. I could go on any team schedule. I could go on any team schedule, and I could find an instance where it's just bad. Okay, this should not have happened. Okay, I understand there's probably some kind of logistics that I don't understand. Right, when it comes to scheduling. Right, travel. There's only 3 instances this season where there's travel, and it's the only games in that week. It's basically just the entirety of the Overwatch League gets up and travel somewhere else, right? It's not like in something like the NFL where half of the league is always traveling, at least, right? Sometimes you have games in London or Mexico City, and in that case, you have over half the teams in the league traveling, or over half the teams playing that week traveling. But I don't understand what design process went into making this schedule. Who approved this schedule? It's got glaring flaws to it because there's no exciting competition in the same stage, right? Like it just doesn't work that way, right? One of the most exciting things about last season was seeing how teams changed, right? New York played Boston Uprising twice in the first 2 stages. They played them in Stage 1, they put them in Stage 2. Obviously, they played more games that season, and the way the schedule worked was slightly different. But when they played them in Stage 3 and Stage 4, it was different because the team, Boston, had improved. Okay? Now, could you imagine if they just played Boston twice in the first half of the season and then they never played them again? When Boston was a much better team, we would have. You're playing now with what ifs, right? And it's problematic. You don't get an idea of how good teams are if they're not playing each other at different points in the season. New York is playing Atlanta and playing Philadelphia. The Stage 2, both of those teams, they're done playing those two teams in Stage 2. So that's 2 divisional series that are done in one stage. Washington is done. All right, that's 3 divisional series. They have a series with Toronto and Boston and Houston that they've started at that point in time, and Florida they started at that time. And then you have Paris and London that you haven't played yet, and there's a team. And obviously that's it. Those are all their divisional series. Okay, there are 2 they haven't started. There's 3 that they've finished, and there's 3 that they have ongoing. Or 4 they have ongoing at that point in time. I can't do math very well, but no, it is 3. Is it 3? No, 4. Don't listen to me. Maybe it is 3. It's 4. It's 4. Anyway, it's bad scheduling. The schedule's bad. I don't know who approved it. I don't know who created it. I don't know what design process went into making it, but it's bad. It needs to be fixed for future seasons. In an ideal world, they would also fix it for this season. I don't see that happening because I don't think they're going to change the schedule. But this should never happen. The fact that it did happen is bad. If it happens again in Season 3, I have problems with the league because it feels like they just threw schedules together. I could probably design a better schedule than this. I could probably take a lot of these games around. It would take me probably a day to do it. Of just kind of moving games around to when they should be or when it would make more sense for them to be. Just using the template of this schedule that they have, right? I wouldn't change a single out-of-division game. I would just move some games around to make more sense than what we have because they don't make any sense at all. I don't know why they're so bad, but they are. But that's just my thoughts, right? Those are my opinions on this schedule. Let me know what you think about it, what you think about schedules. Obviously, I didn't go over every team's schedule, but I've looked at a lot of them. I've looked at over half of them at this point in time, or at least enough that I know at least half the teams, or over half of the teams, have an instance where they play a team twice in the same stage. That should never happen. And if at least half the teams have it, every team has it, right? That's basically what you can kind of infer. So I'm gonna end this video here. I hate making videos like this. I hate ranting about stuff like this, but it's unacceptable in my opinion that this would ever happen, and it shouldn't have happened. And the Overwatch League scheduling department needs to figure out what they're doing, because there's something wrong with that. This has to be a thing. But if you enjoyed this video, if you want more content like this in the future, I hope I don't have to make it, but if I do and you want it, let me know. Consider liking, subscribing. Like I said, comment down below what you think about these schedules, if you have problems with them. If your favorite team's schedule has problems, most likely does, but that's where we're going to end this video off. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves. Have a good holiday season, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.